Welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast with your hosts, Joshua Poniatowski and Alex Taylor. Let's talk football.
Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast. My name is Joshua Poniatowski, and with me, as always, Alex Taylor.
What up?
So today we're going to be talking about top 10 quarterbacks for 2025. These are guys you got to be rostering automatically, but before we jump into that action, I got some fun stuff for you, Alex. So
all right, hit me with it.
I want you to imagine that there is a mascot Mortal Kombat, right? So these two mascots of NFL football teams, are facing off with each other, and who would win in a battle to the death? All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna start off with your pride and joy. It's gonna be Captain Fear from the Bucks. Okay, so
you got a sword, a gun, a ship. Does he get the whole ship? What are we working with here?
Just like what's on his body. I would say no additional kind of items there. And I'm gonna be honest, as a Niners fan, I didn't realize this was the mascot's name, but his name is Sourdough Sam.
I don't even know.
Little underwhelming.
For gold? What does he look like?
He has a pickaxe.
So he's got pickaxe.
Okay. He's got a beard. He's a burly guy. You know, so maybe the not
Buccaneer
a sword.
totally wins. I mean, because
the
Buccaneer has that sword for the explicit purpose of hacking people, getting some kills. You know, they're plundering, they're taking loot. Your pickaxe guy, maybe self-defense, sure, but for the most part, that's an actual tool, not a weapon.
Understandably so. Okay, all right. So Captain Fear is number one so far. So next up is the Seahawks mascot. This is Big Seahawk. His name is actually Boom, and that's all I know about him.
Like
Seahawk,
Sonic
his
Boom?
name's Boom.
Like from the Seattle Supersonics were there?
Yeah, maybe that's where that originated from. Yeah. But so you think Captain Fear or Boom? What do you got?
Captain Fear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Captain Fear is still number one until he gets defeated.
It's a King of the Hill situation.
Yeah,
he's just going taking out mascots till someone else dethrones him.
100%.
So is this Seahawk the size that the mascot is, or is this like a real life? Okay, it's like a full.
We'll say size. Yeah, size comparison.
But it could fly.
You know, let's say it can fly, right? And listen, Captain Fear is a sword and a gun. I mean, he's a pirate. You wanted a captain. You wanted a whole ship.
Yeah.
I mean,
those guns back in the day, I think were like maybe single, maybe double shot.
Single
like shot. It's like if you miss it, that's a big bird.
That's true.
I might give it to the man-sized bird. I don't know.
Okay.
At that point, if it was a real life size Seahawk, I think Captain Fear takes it.
Captain Fear. Okay, so we're going with Boom then, the big Seahawks.
Boom.
Okay. So now Boom's at the top. The next mascot is the Colts. His name is Blue, and he's pretty much a big Colt. Now this Colt's a little bit different. He walks on 2 feet instead of 4. All right, but he's a big Colt.
So he's just like punching or something like that. Nah, Boom's taking. If he's able to fly, I'm giving that to Boom.
Okay.
Because if anything, that mascot size is probably smaller than the actual horse would be. So that mascot got a downgrade in that regard.
I would agree with that. The next one is Sir Purr. Do you know who Sir Purr is and which team?
Carolina Panthers.
Carolina Panthers.
The
Panthers mascot.
Yeah, it's a division rival. Of course I know him. Come on. Now. Cats are pretty good at taking out birds. Like their reflexes are good. They can jump surprisingly high. I'm gonna give that to Sir Purr.
Sir Purr. All right, Sir Purr is on top. All right, this is gonna be the last one. So this one's kind of a twist. I like to do this. Chiefsaholic. He's a super fan for Kansas City. Do you know this guy at all, or have heard his story?
Yes. I know what he looks like. So he's got like the wolf mask, right?
He does. He is in state prison right now, by the way, because he got arrested for a series of bank robberies while he was going to games. So like this guy is, legitimate felon. He's arrested.
No, I have a rock hard alibi. You saw me on the Jumbotron. I was not there, sir.
Right. Crazy story.
No, but he's not taking out Sir Purr. I mean, that's a man-sized panther. Come on. Which, I mean, Panthers are probably already man-sized, I think. I mean, that's pretty pretty equal representation, but I'm giving that to Sir Purr over Chiefs.
All right, so Sir Purr
wins. He's probably got pretty jacked in prison.
I would imagine so. But Sir Purr wins category. I would say Sir Purr's name. I don't know if I'm vibing with it. But have you seen that video with, I think it was Robbie Anderson, talking about Sir Purr, the YouTube video?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He didn't know he existed or something. But he's like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, he's like, "What's that big bear thing over there?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Sir Purr." And he's like, "What's a Sir Purr?" You just walk up to him and say, "Yo, what's up, Sir Purr?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's his name." It's like, "Oh,
does he not know how mascots work? I never seen a mascot
He was just
before.
very confused about the whole situation.
I'll be chosen.
All right, so Sir Purr, top of the list, very nice. Wins the battle royale, or the King of the Hill, excuse me. All right, so we're gonna transition over to talking about quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks. But before we do, I have some data. I love to look at my data, my analytics. So I got a little data dump that I want to ask you some questions on. So over the past 5 years, so this is a question. Over the past 5 years, how many quarterbacks had under 200 rushing yards that were top 5 in fantasy? So top 5 fantasy quarterbacks with under 200 yards.
Okay, how many years back are we going?
We're going 5 years, so 5 years back.
Well, one, I know Josh Allen's the top 5 all those years, so that's already a 0 for that. Jalen Hurts is probably also in that top 5 every year. Lamar Jackson's also probably in that top 5 most of those years. I think he got hurt one of those years, but who else would be like top 5? I mean, you got some Burrow, you got some Dak probably doesn't. Wait, so I'm going
under 200. Remember, under 200 rushing yards.
Come on, everyone gets over 200 these days.
Not necessarily now. Okay, now they do, yes.
All right, so top 5 for 5 seasons. That's 25 total QB seasons. I'm going to say
25 total QBs.
I'm going to say there was 5 under 200.
5 under 200. Okay, that was a really good guess. There is actually 3.
Was it by Joe Burrow and Dak probably? Well, Dak gets scrambles a little bit. He scrambles a little bit.
They both do. Burrow and Dak have had over 200 yards. Like, even if it's somewhat barely, like crazy enough, they break that threshold. The guys, though, who hadn't is Tom Brady, your boy, brought you a championship.
Sure. Yeah.
Matthew Stafford was one. I think it was 2020.
The old
Aaron
guys.
Rodgers. Yeah, the old guys.
The
and Aaron Rodgers, the pure passers. And I had to go back 2021 and 2020, the last time that happened. So, like, when we think about, like, this kind of new generation and top 5 fantasy quarterbacks, they have to be somewhat mobile most of the time, right? We're talking a high percentage chance there.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know. They're not even getting drafted. Like, a pure pocket passer just doesn't really even get drafted anymore in the NFL. Like, you got to be able to, like,
actually, well,
you got to be able to run if it's there. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's the only, like, issue. You don't got to, like, be looking to scramble, but you got to, if it's there, you got to take it.
Yeah, I wonder because Cam Ward is more of a pocket passer, I would say, traditionally. So in Miami, he only had 200 rushing yards. Washington State 144, and then before that was only 58. So he is, the 101s just went more of a traditional pocket passer. But you're right, most of the time these guys, just because of the athleticism, the way college football is designed now, they're definitely running the ball more. So that curbs Cam's upside, right? All right, so next question. I looked at total points for a team and or the average points that they scored per game. Okay, so last year. So total points earned. This could be touchdowns, field goals, all of the above.
Just how many points did that NFL team put on the board, basically?
Correct. Every single week, or as an average, or total points, however you want to look at it. Now, I looked at the top 10 teams, okay, that scored the most points. How many of those top 10 teams also had top 10 quarterbacks that were attached to that team? So, for example, Philly,
almost
all top 10 team, Hurts. Yeah. So, what do you think the percentage?
Okay. So, how many years back was it?
I just looked at last year. I did look at a couple other historical years, but just specifically last year, I went back and it was pretty consistent.
Mahomes,
I didn't get
the Chiefs were the one that wasn't. Yeah, I would say probably it's high. Maybe not all. I'll give you a little bit of leeway. I'll say 8 out of 10 had a top 10 quarterback.
Another great guess. So it was 9 out of 10. It was 90%. So 90%. And the kind of exception was actually Green Bay. They were a top 10 scoring offense.
They were weird
Jordan
last year.
Love obviously got injured. He didn't, put the fantasy production there. But the reason why I bring this up is because it sounds so easy, right? It's like, well, duh, a top 10 offense is going to produce a top 10 quarterback. But when you look at like running backs, wide receivers, it's more close to like 50%. Yeah, not the case. When you look at tight ends, it's even lower. It's like 30%, 40%. It just shows that like top 10 quarterbacks value is directly correlated with how many points a team's going to score during the year. So when you're picking a QB, you're pretty much picking a cast, the coaching, the offensive scheme. Like you're picking the team, not just the quarterback.
Especially with
why is important
with that scrambling and the rushing upside. It's like the quarterback's just so involved in almost every play that it's like
putting points up.
Is it like the team creates the quarterback or the quarterback creates the team? I don't know.
Probably a combination of both. But I thought this was valuable because, like we were talking, Anthony Richardson last year. You were very low on him. A lot of people had him easily in the top 10, right? But when we look back and we look at this data, we're like, well, sure, AR maybe can run a lot, but is his team going to put up a massive number of points in a top 10 range? Like, at that time, I don't think the Colts were in that discussion as a top 10 point scoring team when looking at the league as a whole. This year, Justin Fields is that guy.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I got my top 10. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, this is just about the Jets. God.
So Justin Fields might be that guy.
For the record, he is barely in my top 10. So barely,
I got you. And he has produced, I think, we'll get into Fields, but I think he's produced at a quarterback 6 level when he does play because of his rushing upside. And maybe he is that 1 out of 10, like that exception to the rule most of the time. But I just found that interesting when we're deciding on QBs that, it's a piece of the pie for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so the last data point I'm going to give you is what makes a top 5 QB. So just top 5 QB. I looked at past 5 years of data, and pretty much it came down to they need to have over 4,500 yards. This is averages, of course.
Total?
Over 4,500 total yards.
Okay.
Yep. Could be rushing, could be passing, everything, any combination. They need to have over 35 plus touchdowns.
Okay.
And this is the one I thought was important, is they need to typically have under 10 interceptions. Which again, that isn't always the case, but average wise, right?
You say that to a Bucks fan who's lived through the Jameis years, and that Baker slings a little bit last year too.
Baker's
but so I'm like interceptions, like they don't matter. I'm like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Then it's me.
And again,
we come back better on the next drive and just sling it harder.
Baker clearly finished last year top 10. I don't know what his finish was, but he finished QB4. So again, these are just averages, things to consider, things to think about, which makes sense, right? If you possess the ball for longer and you make less errors, you're going to have more opportunities to score offensive points.
Yeah.
So, it aligns with what we were talking about. But I just thought those were some interesting facts that kind of align with our decisions that we're making today. And this is really how I made a lot of my decisions for, the top 10 list. All right, so what we're going to do, for those of you listening, Alex is going to name his top 10 quarterbacks. He's just going to name their names. I am then going to name my top 10 quarterbacks, and then we're going to go through and explain why it was we named them where we named them. All right, so Alex, go ahead and give us your top 10 list.
And our list did end up very similar, but I guess it's just the nature of the game. Everyone's top studs are top studs. I mean, there's no surprise there. Number 1 spot, holding it down. Josh Allen had him in the same spot last year. Number 2, Lamar Jackson popped off, so I got him in a 2 spot. Number 3, Joe Burrow. He won me a championship last year. Thank you for that. Number 4, Jalen Hurts. Number 5, I got the rookie phenom from last year, Jayden Daniels. Number 6, my boy Baker Mayfield. Number 7, Patrick Mahomes. Number 8, Dak Prescott. I'm hoping for a bounce back year there. Number 9, Bo Nix. And then finally, number 10, the questionable Justin Fields.
Okay. So that's Alex's top 10 list. My top 10 list is going to go like this. Number 1, Lamar Jackson. Number 2, Josh Allen. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. Number 4, Jayden Daniels. Number 5, Joe Burrow. Number 6, Patrick Mahomes. Number 7, Dak Prescott. Number 8, Baker Mayfield. Number 10, Jared Goff. And I realized that I left a name off my list. Who did I leave off my list? Bo Nix. Bo Nix is my number 5. So I left him off. I apologize. Which is much higher than normal. So
it's pretty high.
What's going to happen is Alex is going to go through his list. He's going to start off with his quarterback, talk about where why he likes him at that spot, and then I'm just going to chime in where he's at my spot, and then we'll hash it out pretty much. So, Alex, go ahead and take it away.
I'm in the number 1 spot, same as he was last year, Josh Allen. Okay, so here's Allen's rankings, quarterback fantasy finishes for the last 5 seasons. Year 2020, first place. 2021, first place. 2022, second place. 23, first place. 24, second place. Nothing but first and seconds for the last 5 years. And it seemed like every week last year, he was just setting some new record for some crazy thing that I'd never done. Rushing, receiving, passing. He was all over the place.
Insanity.
They're all like, oh, he lost Stephon Diggs. He's not going to be as good. Didn't matter. James Cook finally started getting some rushing touchdowns. Didn't matter. He was still putting up his numbers. Yep. So he's my undisputed number 1, and I'm riding him until the wheels fall off.
Which makes sense. I get it. Consistency is key. He's done it literally year in and year out, but you are not factoring this in. Josh Allen is not my number 1. He's my number 2. The dude just got married to Haley Steinfeld. He's living.
That's a boost.
Nah,
that's a boost.
I don't know. He's living his married life. He's putting on that married 15, right?
Sure.
In the gut section. He's thinking about kids, right? He's like, man, maybe I should save my brain for the future. I don't want to run it as much. Haley's like, listen, stop taking so many hits.
She's a feeder.
I need you as a dad.
I don't want the girls looking at you.
Right, exactly, yeah. And, so I think the rushing production maybe might dip just a little bit. It's as easy as that. But honestly, Josh Allen, if you take him to 1, I'm not going to be upset at you. He's consistent. He's amazing. He's a stud. So I totally get it. So, yeah. All right, who you got next?
So then I got Lamar Jackson. So we just flip-flopped our 1 and 2. So then I got Lamar.
We did.
I mean, going into last year, everyone was wondering, like, what's this addition of King Henry going to do? Like, is he going to kind of take away some of those goal line carries? And, I mean, he did. He did take away goal line carries. It just didn't matter because their offense was so good. He was just creating all this space for Lamar. He ended up eclipsing his career high in passing yards by 500. Had 5 more passing touchdowns than he had ever had in his career. He really just thrived having King Henry there to kind of, hold the defense at bay. And so, yeah, I mean, he's my clear number 2, and he's a beast.
And so Lamar Jackson is my number 1 because Josh Allen has spent his time in the sun. All right. It's Lamar's time, right? Allen, again, married life. He's moving on. Lamar, for perspective, he's arguably the best passing QB in my top 5 and potentially a top 2 passing QB in my top 10. Even your top 10.
You think he's a better passing quarterback than Joe Burrow?
So that's the one. That's the one that I'd say Burrow maybe takes. So, top 5 again, my top 5 because I don't got Burrow in top 5.
Okay.
But let me give you that stat, okay? So Baker Mayfield last year threw 16 interceptions. Yeah, boy. All right, the gunslinger.
Some of them were crap.
Lamar,
some of them were, it happens.
It's still on the stat sheet, all right? Lamar threw only 2 more interceptions than him over the past 3 years. Okay, so over the past 3 years, Lamar has only thrown 2 more interceptions than Baker did last year. So, and did I mention that Lamar is a better runner than 50% of the running backs in the league?
He's
not
insane. He's so fun to watch too. I mean, so that's anything you take him just because he just starts scrambling and you just get so hyped every time.
See ya. And he is actually projected to score 10 more touchdowns passing than Jalen Hurts. He's projected to have over 750 rushing yards.
Oh, easily.
I just think he checks all the boxes. He's a passing, focused quarterback who is going to get you 700 plus yards on the ground. And also within the 5-yard line, which makes sense with Derrick Henry. I saw this stat on Twitter. I apologize. I forget who exactly said it. I'll go back and look and comment and quote it in our feed. But he had 0 rushes within the 5-yard line last year.
What? He had 0, not even just like
Lamar.
broken, like designed
0
rushes, or like what about like little broken scrambles?
I'll have to go back and look, but the stat said 0 rushing touchdowns within
so touchdowns,
5-yard
maybe not like
line.
attempts.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look, and I'll quote it and cite it in there. I saw that and was like, holy crap! Right, there's got to be some type of improvement. With especially with the 900 plus yards that he had and only 4, I think it was touchdowns on the ground. So touchdown regression, we might see the opposite from Lamar this year, especially if he continues
shoot up
the production on the ground. Absolutely. So, and those two, at least for me, are my tier 1. So this is like we're talking about tiers here. Again, you can kind of take these interchangeably personally, but those two for me were my tier 1.
Yeah, I kind of looked at your tier list. Yours is like you got a lot more like small tiers. I'm kind of like a big clump tier kind of guy. So
that
I got
works.
4 in my tier 1 because I'm like, hey, if that's your guy, take him. Who cares?
Makes sense. All right, who's your number 3?
In the 3 spot, I'm taking Joe Cool, Mr. Joe Burrow. Last year, he led the league in passing attempts, completions, yards, touchdowns. And guess what? This year, he's going to do it all again. I mean, the Bengals defense might be even worse than last year. I mean, their main 2 pass rushers aren't even at camp yet because they're holding out for contract stuff. He's a competitive guy, college national championship, Super Bowl appearance. They lost, and then he went out there last year and had a total stinker. So I think he just gets it all reworked, comes back even stronger. They still got possibly the best wide receiver in the league in Jamar Chase. And they got Higgins back. He didn't have Higgins for like half the year last year, or at least for the fantasy season.
A lot of injuries.
And then he came back and was insane down the fantasy playoffs. So I think he's going to be just as good this year as he was last year, maybe even better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fault you for having him in your top 5. The only reason he is my number 6 and outside the top 5 is because of that low rushing upside. Like, he barely breaks that 200-yard mark pretty consistently on the year. Granted, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Mike Gesicki, right? He has a million offensive weapons. I think PFF rated their defense 25 out of 32. Couple things I'm worried about is they got 2 new guards. One is like a journeyman guy who isn't like typically a typical starter. The other one is a 3rd-round pick. So Burrow, according to PFF, they have their offensive line ranked 31st out of 32 teams.
Yeah, that's rough.
Which is super rough. So, I mean, it's hard for me to drop Burrow any lower than 6, but because of his supporting weapons, and we know they're going to have to throw the ball, but I just don't think he runs consistently enough for me to be confident in the top 5, personally.
But I will say he might not be someone I want to draft as QB3, only because we all know the Bengals are going to lose the first 2 games of the season because it is tradition.
Games.
Last 6 years, they have 1 win in the first 2 weeks. That's 12 games or 1-11. So, he's someone who I think finishes as QB3, but possibly I wouldn't go into the draft thinking that.
Gotcha. You got to hold on to him, right? You can't lose faith within the first couple games. Like,
maybe don't draft him and then try to poach him real quick. Be like, people don't lose faith in studs within 2 weeks typically, but it is a little tough. But
I picked Burrow up last year in one of my leagues after I think it was week 3 or 4. Rode him all the way to the championship.
What do you mean picked him up? Like someone dropped him? What size league was this?
It was a 10-man. It was a 10-man league.
10-man, 1 QB.
1 QB. Yeah, so he was. I agree.
Crazy.
I agree. So I just went in, scooped him up, and it happens sometimes. People get overzealous about those first couple weeks, and they don't know the history.
Yeah, they freak out. Some people
he's done nothing. He's lost me 3 weeks in a row. I got to make a move. So yeah.
Plus Higgins was hurt then. It was like they got nothing going on.
Yeah, it didn't look great. All right, so who you got next?
All right, 4 spot, I put Jalen Hurts.
He's your number 4.
I've dragged this man a decent amount in the past, and I don't know. I wouldn't really want him as my NFL team QB, at least not as like a top 5. But from a fantasy perspective, he cannot be denied. This man has had double-digit rushing touchdowns for 4 straight seasons. Even with Saquon coming in, it didn't stop. The tush-push band did not pass. He can still squat more than most D linemen he's up against. So he's just going to be down that deep squat formation, just diving over the goal line. So he's got an incredibly high floor for a QB because of that reason. He was QB3 on the season through week 15 until he then just sat out for 3 whole games last year because the Eagles were just dominating. So he's a guy. He's the end of my tier 1. I'm not reaching for the man like in any kind of crazy way, but I like him as the bottom of my tier 1.
So Jalen fits my tier 2. He's number 3 on my list. All the reasons that you said, the tush push is still around. He had 29 touchdowns over the past 2 years. 21 of those were the tush push. So you can expect that he's going to get 10 plus touchdowns on the ground as a quarterback alone. So like going in and being like, oh, I'm drafting a quarterback who's getting 10 plus touchdowns on the ground. Absolutely. Right. Like you have some safety blanket there. He has the 4th easiest strength of schedule. You know, obviously defenses, all that stuff changes as the years go on, but just something to be mindful of right now. And the Eagles, since Jalen has taken over as QB1, have been top 5 in points per game since 2021. So like, again, checks all the rushing boxes, the upside, the rushing TDs, the offensive production. I just like him at my 3 as somebody that you can rely on, I feel like, pretty much week in and week out. I look at him as like the
Amon-Ra St.
Brown. Yeah, of the quarterbacks, just because of that tush push. Granted, he does get injured when you need him sometimes at the end of the year, which is frustrating. But,
or then
you know,
the Eagles,
outside that,
receivers tend to get injured a lot too. Like they'll just randomly have some weeks where you're just like, they're just dead.
Yeah. But again, I like him, you know, consistent guy, number 3, my tier 2 there.
All right. In my 5 spot, I got Jayden Daniels. This is kind of my start. Like I have those 4 guys as like proven studs, and I'm starting tier 2. I mean, a lot of people already have Daniels in that elite group, just based off of last year. I mean, PFF had him as their number 1 QB. And listen, you can't really deny it. I mean, the kid exploded onto the scene his rookie year. 900 yards on the ground, 3,500 through the air, 36 total touchdowns. I mean, the commies went out and they added Larry Tunsil for left tackle and Debo. And then they also drafted another offensive tackle in the first round as well.
Josh Corley.
This is an offense that looks like it should absolutely be productive, but part of me is just not sure yet. And this is more of just like a gut NFL feeling. You know, you give a team a whole offseason with your tape from a whole rookie year, like they're going to come back stronger, and there's going to be some growing pains. I mean, last year we were excited for Stroud year 2, Love second year starter, and both of them just kind of fizzled and got beat up a bit. So
injuries.
So, you know, we all love to kind of compare players to shares of the stock market. You're like, oh, what's your portfolio looking like? Oh, I got this many stocks of him and stuff like that. So to quote Warren Buffett, when other people get greedy, I get nervous. And I feel like everyone is super greedy on Jayden Daniels right now. Like I said, PFF had him at number 1. And I'm like, the guy was great. He was great. Not denying it, but just 1 year. Like, let's cool it a little bit. So that's why I got him clear tier 2, still number 5, still put some respect on the name, but I got him in the 5 spot.
Yeah, so number 4 is where he goes. Everything you said. The thing, I don't see a year 2 QB slump for this guy though, because he's not just a great QB. He's a freaking superstar. All right. So I don't see a year 2 slump with, that typically happens. You mentioned all the offensive line, like upgrades they got, but also one thing that not many people were talking about, Washington just invested $100 million to improve their practice facilities, to make their locker rooms nicer, little player experience with the team, right? You look good, you feel good, you play good, all right? So I feel like that boosts him up a little bit. They also, according to PFF, have one of the worst defenses in the league going into 2025. We know good offense, bad defense, fantasy magic, right? Makes that fantasy baby. Absolutely. So I'm hoping that happens for him. And as far as like projections and prop bets go, right now he's projected to throw right around 3,500 yards, 650 rushing yards on the ground. Again, kind of in line with Lamar as far as not passing, but as far as the rushing, and around 30 touchdowns. So I think he has the tools, he's capable, he has the weapons, and he has a great offensive line now to kind of support that. So, yeah.
And so you had him at what, 4, you said?
I had him at number 4, and he's in my 2 tier. Again, me and Alex's tiers are mine are a little bit tighter. His is a little bit loosey goosey.
Big tiers.
So
big tiers.
Nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah, big tiers. Huge.
All right, moving into number 6. I got my boy Baker Mayfield. You knew it was coming. Come on, last year's number 4 fantasy QB. The old shake and bake is poised for another juicy year of dropping dimes. The Bucs shocked the world by going out and taking a Mecca in the first round. At least they shocked me. I was a little shocked. But you know who wasn't complaining? Baker.
So good.
Now the Bucs have the deepest wide receiver room in the league. He's just going to be out there. Plenty of weapons to choose from. But I will be a realist because I do know there are some issues with Baker going into this year versus last year. Maybe a little lucky. We'll see. One, all-pro left tackle Tristan Wirfs had a surgery. He's projected to miss maybe a month or so. We don't really know yet. 3 or 4 games.
Okay.
Obviously that's pretty rough. Also, the Bucs lost their offensive coordinator again, second year in a row. Liam Cohen headed off to Duval, wherever he said it, with the Lawrence-led Jags. Finally, Baker also had an insanely high touchdown per pass attempt of 7.2, which typically, if you look back over time, is not a very sustainable number. So a lot of people think there's going to be some regression to the mean there, and he won't throw nearly as many touchdowns as he did last year. But, sometimes you got to throw analytics and stats out the window. It's all about the swagger. And my boy Baker is going to make it happen. So just draft the man, and then you get to have fun on Sundays. That's all it comes down to.
So no disrespect, but I have him as my number 9. Okay,
hey,
on
that's
my
better
list
than he was
in
going
tier
into last
4.
year. So
it's very true. It's very
nobody had a top 10 last year.
He's like the Jameis Winston light. Like I feel like he's like Jameis Winston light. He's not quite James Winston, but he's a little bit lighter version of him, right? 16 touchdowns. He's gonna throw it. He's gonna make plays. He's literally not gonna give up on the play. It doesn't matter. 1st and 99, or 4th and 99. He's gonna try to make a play and make something happen. I was worried, obviously, about the Liam Cohen. By the way, this is 5 years in a row for the Bucs that they've had their offensive coordinator leave. I don't know if that exactly 5, but I thought it was 5, or maybe.
Well, I would say not necessarily the Bucs thing, but a Baker thing. I mean, he's literally never. He's
5 new
career.
offensive
It's more than 5. I think it's like 8. He's never had a repeat offensive coordinator in his entire NFL career. Whole what did he do? 5 years for the Browns, and now he's on year 3 with the Bucs.
Yeah,
never once. It's like that's just wild. Given with the Browns, it was because they sucked a bunch. With the Bucs, because it's awesome, and everyone keeps stealing them and making head coaches out of them.
Taking them. Well, the new promoted, right? So this is an internal hire, Josh Grizzard. So he kept actually most of the Bucs offensive staff. So even though Cohen left, he was able to hold down some of the offensive staff. So from a play calling and a scheme standpoint, I feel like that's a positive that Baker shouldn't have to change too much about what he's expected. Same with the offensive guys. There's jokes out there right now that Grizzard is going to be the Saints' new head coach next year. It has already started and the season hasn't even played. But yeah, I mean, I see him comeback tour again. He's he's a gunslinger. Adding in Mabuka, I love him as a wide receiver. Also, he's got a top 10 offensive line to support him. I know you were talking about, the injury early on, but he still, has a solid offensive line, and they have a bad defense. So, again, that making babies for fantasy production.
It's gonna be improved. Come on, we had some injuries last year. We drafted cornerback in the 2nd and 3rd. We'll be all right. It'll be okay.
All right. If you say so. But yeah, I got him in my 9.
Hassan Riddick and
4.
Free agency. Defense is going to be all right.
Hassan Riddick has been a bum, unfortunately. But
listen, he was in New York. Nobody wants to play well in the Jets. Come on. All right, moving on.
Okay, whatever you say, Sauce Gardner, cornerback 1 of the year league.
All right, moving on.
Right,
Number
ahead,
7, I put Patrick Mahomes. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, all right, he is still the golden boy for the actual real world NFL. He's still like probably quarterback 1.
Yeah.
But from the fantasy realm, he has seen his stock tumble a lot. He was very middling last year, coming in as QB 10 on the season. But his numbers were weirdly steady. He never scored less than 14, but he also only cracked 20 points 4 times. So you basically were always just getting that like mid to high teen points. Like it was fine. It just was never like great. But the Chiefs also just had a really weird year last year. Like they looked great at times. They didn't look great at times, but they just kept winning. Their defense was stout, so Mahomes didn't really have to do that much. Plus, they had multiple injuries to the wide receiver room. Obviously, we know about Rashee Rice going down. Looking ahead, I mean, their defense is still going to be solid, so game script isn't great. I just think that the gamble on Mahomes bouncing back is kind of worth it at this QB7 price point. I mean, this is a guy with multiple quarterback 1 finishes in his career and 7 straight top 10 quarterback performances. So for quarterback 7, I think is a good value here.
And I actually have him exactly at 7 too. I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. Again, last year, like you talked about, defenses literally won them games. They won 11 games last year when scoring under 21 points. 11 games under 21 points, which is absolutely crazy. They've invested heavily in their D-line, which has got them obviously from a running standpoint, been able to stop the run, which has helped them long term. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that as consistently this year. I think Mahomes wants to come back with a vengeance, right? That after that Super Bowl game, everybody was talking crap about him. Again, Kelsey is aging, but they have 25-year-old coming off fresh Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy year 2, Noah Gray, who's shown flashes at tight end, Pacheco. We have no idea what to expect from him.
Hollywood still there?
But think about. I have to double check.
Did he go? I can't even like remember him.
He gets injured too much. It doesn't matter. Irrelevant. If he's still on the team, he'll be injured by like week 2. But regardless, like those are the guys that really you're looking for from a strong point. But like their rushing ground game doesn't seem to be anything amazing, even though they got it done with Kareem Hunt last year.
Pacheco does all right now. He's like a little bit more removed from that injury. I think Pacheco kind of gets it back in a groove.
Oh yeah, I think there's gonna be a
stud,
and
then he came back and was like just nothing. And was like, what the heck?
I mean, injuries like that, it's tough, mid-season to come back from and be like 100%. So I think he's going to have some bounce back, but I feel like Andy Reid is going to have to go into his bag. He's going to have to kind of remember the glory days where he's like, you know what? I have to get the ball, get it done through the air. I have to come up with creative play calls to get Mahomes, in his sweet spot. And I just don't think they're going to win 11 games with 21 points again this year. So top 10 for sure. Mahomes, maybe even better based off of what ends up happening with their defense. So I got him in my 7 and my tier 3.
All right, moving in number 8, I put Dak Prescott. I had a lot of Dak stock last year, and it really burned me pretty bad. So emotionally, he's not a top 10 QB because I'm still pretty angry at him. But as I just like dive into my review, like I just can't deny he's poised for like a juicy year. I mean, this is a guy who was 1 year removed from a QB3 finish. Plus, Dallas then added Pickens as a legit second passing option behind CeeDee. They have Javonte Williams as their top running back. He ain't doing anything. And a defense that they got like a couple stud players, but they're not expected to be any kind of top unit by any means. So I think Dak's just going to be slinging the rock and put up a nice season.
So I have Dak in my 8, but as the season goes on, and this is where my tier 4 starts, is right around Dak, I honestly might move him above Burrow and move him above Mahomes. Like I am so
Burrow,
high on
Burrow.
Dak right
That's
now.
wild.
I think that Dak is going to have a historic year. They will probably lose first round of the playoffs like they always do. And it's not because like Dak Prescott is an amazing quarterback. It's because he has insane weapons around him and Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer is the key to this entire experiment. He's the reason why I'm so hyped.
Okay.
All right. So he's been their OC in Dallas for a while, past couple years. All he does is throw the ball. That's all this man wants to do. And it's evident, right? They have 0 running backs in their backfield. Even with Cooper Rush as their QB1, they still threw it a 60+% rate. Like, it does not matter who is on the field. Dak Prescott is going to be throwing the ball 60% of the time for 17 and 18 games. And CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Turd Ferguson are all going to be catching passes. So when we talk about upside, like, I feel like Dak just has it in, droves. So he might move a little bit higher as the year goes on. I love this man, especially if you're waiting on quarterback.
Yeah, he's great value this year. Like he's just being totally slept on.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, so both had him
100%.
at number 8. So moving into my number 9, I put Bo Nix. I mean, Jayden Daniels was wild. He was the sensational rookie last year. But Bo Nix was maybe the most surprising rookie QB performance. Like, nobody really saw that coming, going out and putting up a QB9 performance. And what really caught everyone off guard. He had 400 yards on the ground. Nobody knew he was like gonna scramble at all. Then putting up 400 yards on the ground is pretty legit. So Bo seems to really fit nicely into Sean Payton's system, kind of like a little young Drew Brees situation. The Broncos added Evan Ingram, who I like really well in that system, and they also drafted RJ Harvey in the 2nd round. I mean, they had nothing in the running back room last year, so he's got better weapons around him. I do wish they had gotten a little bit more something in the wide receiver room. I mean, I don't know, but Cortland Sutton is like
wide receiver. Keenan Allen still exists. He's still floating out there. Maybe they decide to make a move.
Either way,
crazy.
I think this is an offense that should take another step forward. I will add my same concerns that I had about Jayden Daniels with like the 2nd-year quarterback going in for NFL. Yeah. Like, QB. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. That's why I have him at the 9 spot. I think he has upside, and I won't like knock anyone for taking him higher. But I put him at 9 because I was a little bit concerned in that regard.
So I'm going all in on Bo Nix. He is my number 5 right now. Top 5 quarterback this year. Yes, I said it. He's my tier 3. He's right at start of my tier 3. It's risky, but let me kind of explain the breakdown. And yes, I think it's that Bo Nix has rushing upside. He's a good quarterback, a good passer. He's 25, so he has much more experience than a lot of these other year 2 quarterbacks.
So you think he's as old as Trevor Lawrence. Thing. It's not like, it's too old. Like, he doesn't have enough. It's an asset. It's not like young to where he can he can hype up.
Like, we talk about dynasty, sure, that's a downside. But when we talk about like experience and years played, like, this is one of the reasons why he was able to come in, because he had seen so many defenses. He had played so many different offensive schemes and systems, and he just had more knowledge than a traditional rookie quarterback who's 21, 22 years old. So I just felt like that, led to that success, which will help him grow. But also because Sean Payton is the dude. And again, I know Drew Brees was there, but in New Orleans, Sean Payton consistently top 5 offense in points. Every single year, did not matter. He figured it out, top 5 offense in points. The Broncos were 32 ranked offense before Sean Payton got there. Year 1, they went to 20.
And that was with Russell
Year 2,
Wilson.
They went to 10.
That was a disaster.
That was with Russell Wilson. Year 2, they went to 10 after Bo Nix got here. I see, again, you mentioned it. There's going to be a bump up. I think they bump up to a top 5 offense. RJ Harvey's a pass catching back, right? That's one of the reasons why they got him. I just see a spike year for Bo. I'm super excited for them and him. And that's why I got him in my 5. He, again, checks those boxes from rushing upside, passing, quarterback. And Sean Payton really is the big kind of pusher. Oh, and they have I think a top 2 offensive line, like top 5 offensive line. So he's going to have time to pass the ball and make plays.
He actually had the longest air yards completion last year. It was like a 68-yard throw. Not a lot of people think of him as like a big arm kind of guy, but longest completion of the year last year in the whole NFL.
Chucking it. I mean, chucks it.
Finally rounded out my top 10.
Top 5.
A little shocking to put Justin Fields in there. I kind of shocked
Fields,
myself
baby.
a little bit. I, unlike Josh, don't just start salivating at every rushing QB that has ever just looked away from an open receiver to start scrambling. But I will say Fields was QB6 on the season last year before getting benched in Pittsburgh going into the Week 7 game. And then the Jets paid him a bunch of money. I don't know why. I don't know what they're thinking, but he's going to get the chance to go out there and just run around a bunch. He only does one read. Garrett Wilson is probably the only Jet playmaker worth even dipping your toes into. But the rest of the Jets offense, they're dead. Yeah. They're dead to rights to me, but I'm taking Fields at the QB 10 only for basically the guaranteed 10-ish garbage time rushing attempts a game he's going to get.
That's true. Don't sleep on Mason Taylor. All right, the rookie tight end. I think he might see some opportunities, so don't sleep on that man. But yes, Justin Fields. I don't have him on my top 10 list. He isn't even in my honorable mention. But like you mentioned, rushing upside is there. He's consistently finished as a top 10 quarterback. I just don't think the Jets are going to be putting up a whole lot of points this year. And it just goes back to the data. Maybe he does break that mold, but I'm not. And 10, especially in a 10 quarterback league, like you take him 10, sure. Like I think that's great opportunity, great upside. So I do like that for sure.
Yeah, and especially like a 10-man league, you take him a QB 10, like you're pretty quick to drop him if something surprising comes around. Like that's at that point you're just like you're taking stabs.
Absolutely.
If it works, cool. If it doesn't, bail quick.
I honestly don't think he'll fall that far. I think as we get closer, we'll have to watch ADP, but I feel like this narrative of the rushing upside and QB6 finish, like that's going to start taking hold of people, and he might be creeping into, quarterback 6 to 8 territory. And maybe some people might be crazy and be like, all right, I'm taking him at 4, 5. So, but yeah, I love the 10th pick upside, especially in 10 quarterback leagues.
You did have a different one different QB though. Who you got?
I did. Yeah, so my number 10 was Jared Goff. It was very close for me. I almost honestly didn't include Goff because he's had like 200 rushing yards over the past 3 years or something like that. 3 years. So he literally has to get it all done with his arm. But it's hard to pass up on, a 2 backfield running back system. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, JMO. They just got so many weapons.
He's got 3 straight top 10 performances. He gets it done.
He has been getting it done. Now Ben Johnson is gone, right? The golden child. But they did the same thing the Bucs did. They hired internally. What's the guy's name? John Morton. They promoted internally, so the offensive scheme should stay intact. They also have the top 5 easiest strength of schedule. But some good comes with the bad. Their offensive line did take a hit this year because they lost Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler to either retirement or free agency. So a core part of their offensive line is a little gone. So maybe he doesn't have as much time to throw the rock, and that's where his bread and butter is. So, risky situation, but, they just literally hit historic numbers for the Lions and offense. So it was hard for me not to include him in that mix.
He's like the most unsexy quarterback. It's kind of funny that him and David Montgomery are on the same team because David Montgomery's like the same thing for like running backs, like always getting dropped, but it's just like constantly producing. You're like,
I mean, last year I think he was running back 25, and barring that injury, he was well above his ADP that he went. So, and I'm gonna give a shout out, honorable mention to Jordan Love. Eventually he might jump Goff on my list in the coming months.
Like all the weapons there, or what? You just a believer?
I mean, Green Bay just gets it done. Like they just score points. They score a lot of points, and they have consistently over the past couple of years. Their coach hasn't changed much. So it's just a highly productive offense. And if Love stays healthy, I mean, he's finished top 10 before. And Golden, like Matthew Golden, ends up coming through and actually being a wide receiver one, I think we got to watch out there. But this is a little honorable mention.
Nice.
Mix. All right, so Alex, do you want to run through your list one more time and the tiers? And then I will run through my list one more time. If you're ready, you can go for it. If not, I'm ready. I can go for it while you're
my bigger
collecting your
tier
thoughts.
brackets than you. My tier 1, the 4 proven studs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. You know we're getting with all those 4. They put in quality work year in, year out, proven veterans. Tier 2 is a little bit bigger. It's kind of like some upstart young guys, but also kind of some proven vets too, who are maybe got some question marks. So tier 2, I got Jayden Daniels, my boy Baker, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and Bo Nix. And then so finally tier 3, just at the very end, I got Justin Fields, and then there'll be more below him in the tier 3 bracket. But
gotcha. All right, so my list, tier 1, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, elite of the elite. Let me get those guys in tier 1. Tier 2, Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels, huge rushing upside, exciting opportunities that you have from a fantasy production standpoint. Tier 3, Bo Nix, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Again, rushing upside, passing upside, some bounce backs, weapons around them. Tier 4 is Dak, Baker Mayfield. And then tier 5, Jared Goff, plus, honorable mentions, and, that might make some moves around there. So that's where we're at right now. All right, well, that's all we got for today. We really hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. And as always, go steal a championship. Peace. We'll see y'all later.